Ruben Amorim destroyed Pep Guardiola in his final Champions League game as Sporting manager. A proper 4-1 demolition and a hat-trick from Victor Gyökeres. Fair to say he passed his audition with United fans watching on. Let's run through that win and analyse how Sporting came out firing in that second half, where Guardiola had no answer, and even Haaland couldn't score his penalty. That was a dream send-off for Amorim, an introduction for United fans, and a glimpse of what an Amorim team can do when they're complete. I think it's fair to say that Ruben Amorim's last home game as Sporting boss went well. A 4-1 demolition of Guardiola's City in the Champions League, a fantastic result. It was a game of two halves. What I'm going to do in this video is explain to you what happened in the first half, where Sporting adopted a different approach, an approach that Amorim feels he can't use at United, and doesn't want to use at United, to a second half where a tactical tweak completely flipped the game. Sporting came out firing, and City and Guardiola couldn't respond. I'll explain it all to you in this video. Make sure you please do drop a like on this if you enjoy it. But let's talk about how Amorim beat Guardiola, all right? Let's get into this presentation. Sit down and enjoy yourselves. Because I enjoyed myself last night, and I'm sure you did as well. To see Amorim do that to Guardiola, yeah, that was satisfying in isolation. But in the game itself, it was a game of two halves. And in the first half, City had the measure of Sporting because of the shape that Sporting used. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the back, with 2 in the middle and 3 up front. Now that meant that City always had a man spare. They always had men over in midfield. They had the numerical advantage in midfield because Sporting had dropped into that back 5 shape. And it meant there was always an outlet. And for the whole first half, really, Sporting couldn't cover all of City's players. There was always an outball, and it was very hard for Sporting to stop City dominating. And that was pretty much the story of the first half. Because they dropped into the back 5 shape. Same shape, but the wing-backs held back instead of going forward and being more aggressive. I think it was a sign of respect from Amorim towards Guardiola and City. And it didn't work. Now, Gyökeres, of course, scored that goal, which we'll speak about in a little bit more detail later in this video. But Ruben Amorim spoke about it after the game. He said that how Sporting played there in that first half, that's not the way that Manchester United can play. Sitting deep, sitting defensive, and giving the respect to City. And it didn't work for Sporting either. However, it was a half-time adjustment from Ruben Amorim that allowed Sporting to shift how the game was going. And it was a very simple tweak, right? And he's explained it after the game. He said, look, we changed tactically in the second half. We closed down the middle better. And all he had to do was drop one of the attackers into a midfield 3. So previously in the first half, this man here, I think that's Gonçalves, was further up front. And it was a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3 shape. Instead, it was a 5-3-2 shape. One attacker dropping deeper into midfield gave Sporting the ability to mark City's men. And you can see here that instead of being overloaded, they were now matching up with the numbers that City had in midfield. That stopped City having the ability to play through the midfield in the same way that they played through the midfield in the first half. And it gave Sporting the ability to mark them. And to mark them out of the game. Now, again, Amorim after the game said, look, tactically, the 2 goals weren't really anything to do with massive changes that I made. Because they scored within 2 minutes of the restart, and then a few minutes after that as well, they got a penalty, didn't they? And that was just down to the tempo that the players came out from the second half with. And City weren't ready for that. And that's just them sort of sleeping, if you want. But to look tactically at the goal here, I think, is a really exciting one. Okay, this is the movement. This is a ball out to Quenda, who, of course, is a left-footed right wing-back. 17 just come through academy. He looks like an absolute baller. Quenda on the ball here, receives it, and runs inside. The attacking player for, I can't remember who that is, attacking player for Sporting, runs into that space and drags City's defender away. By doing so, Quenda, who now, as the wing-back, cuts inside onto his natural left foot and just plays a wonderful pass on the ground through to Gyökeres, who's making that run. Right into that gap that's been created here because of that distracting run there. Really, really smart play. Really good play. Lovely pass through to Gyökeres, and he makes no mistake. Lovely finish. Dinked it. Oh, well, was he kicked into the ground? Did he mean it? Doesn't matter. Scored a goal. It was a lovely move, and I think that could be indicative of something that happens at United as well. Who could play that Quenda role as a left-footed right wing-back? You could go to the academy and maybe find your own Quenda. You could look at the first team. You could say maybe Ahmad could do that. You could say on paper that Anthony could do that. I don't know whether Anthony would have the ability to feed a pass through. No, I suppose he would to a certain degree, but no, thank you. It was a lovely move and a lovely bit of build-up. And there were also, throughout the game, some clear chances that Sporting created just through good patterns and good moves. And here's an example here. You can't see it because you can't see there's another centre-back just off screen here, right? Just off screen there. Another centre-back here, and also down towards the bottom, you've got the right wing-back who's holding his width. Now, Sporting moved the ball across there, and by doing this, you can see that City's left back spots Sporting's right wing-back down there. The ball goes out to him, and he tries to cover. But by doing so, he's pulled out of position. That leaves now the space in behind over here and in City's half because the left back is down pressing and covering the ball. But Sporting spot that, get the ball over the top towards Gyökeres. Now he's in a one-on-one situation out of nowhere by bypassing the entire midfield. Going direct sometimes can create you opportunities. And it was a smart bit of play from Sporting. And again, City didn't really have the response. In the first half, City had control of the ball because Amorim decided, going into the game, right, at the start of this game, we're going to go with our typical formation, but instead of our wing-backs aggressively pressing forward, which is what Sporting normally do, they dropped back into a back five shape. By doing so, City had the midfield advantage with an extra man. He switched that in the second half, and that's why Sporting were able to then control, to dominate. But on top of all of that is this. It isn't just about tactics. It never has been with any manager. Those players had 100% buy-in to what Amorim was asking them to do. Maybe it's because at this point they really understand exactly what he's asking them to do. But also they 100% believe in it. They buy into it. And when you do that and you cover every blade of grass, it really does make average teams look good and good teams look great. That's what buy-in does, and that's what Sporting had. And that is something that will not come immediately at Manchester United. There will be the new manager bounce that will happen. Sure, there will be an improvement over time as the tactics and the players become comfortable and used to it. But it only truly works, and it will only truly click for Amorim at United if all those players have 100% buy-in in the same way that those Sporting players had last night. Because when you do that, and when you do buy in, you know what you can do? Well, you can beat City 4-1 at home in the Champions League in Amorim's last game when there was a massive amount of pressure. It was a really solid second half performance. And tactically from Amorim, that little tweak in midfield allowed Sporting to control the game in the second half. In the first half, when it got away from them. It's good to see him having the ability to change that. It's exciting. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, just sort of like the overall tactical look. And we're going to be doing a deeper dive into this during the international break. But if you enjoyed the video, please do drop a like on it. And let me know what you thought about the game last night and overall the performance of Amorim, of some of those players as well. It's exciting. Of course it is.